I think we covered the agenda, so.
Anything else, Mike?
I wanted to ask Mr. Spinkowski if before the next Board of Finance meeting, if you could give us, on the Board of Finance, a list of all companies and individuals to which we pay out more than $10,000 in a fiscal year where it doesn't meet any of the bid criteria.
Let me do this if you don't mind, Mike. That may be a relevant question, but it's not particularly germane to this subcommittee, so perhaps you and Ed can talk about that afterwards. Okay. Anything else that's particularly germane to this topic? I call for adjournment then. Anybody want to second that? Or are we going to?
I'll second that. Okay.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jan.
So I just had a couple of quick things. I think that one of the reasons, and did you gentlemen get my letter? And Pete Piscolo, the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee, and I wrote a letter to you. Okay. I've got copies, so I'll give it to you. One of the reasons that I support Michael Hallahan's request for a forensic audit firm is because our audit firms haven't, in the past, found the problems that have resulted in. And I have one copy of the warrant that I'm happy to give to you and the name of the website. The other thing is that what you will gain and what the Board of Finance will gain and what all of us will gain if we have a forensic audit is a renewed public confidence because people are shaken to the core. And you told me that Levitsky and Bernie are on this list that you passed out. Certainly, whatever they did was not enough because they didn't discover what was going on. And while, yes, it's alleged, the crimes are alleged, there are, as you'll see in the warrant, there are video and audio tapes of attempted bribery. So I don't know if you can still call that alleged. The conviction is not there yet, but...
I see your point, but really in fairness, I think we have to.
Well, you can say alleged, that's fine, but you'll see when you read the warrant that it's not...
I think that is too, Jan. I think, you have to ask yourselves, well, and I don't know the answers, by the way, what was their engagement, I don't know, for instance, if their engagement would have detected what's happened, or anyone else's engagement.
But I think at this point, after what's happened in the last couple of weeks, we need to err on the side of open government and of spending whatever we need to spend to make sure that whatever holes were in the past practices that allowed this to happen doesn't continue. Because an annual audit has been done year after year. We get awards for it, and yet when you read the warrant, you'll see the kinds of things that are going on. So it's clear to me, and I've just got one more thing.
That's okay.
That we can't just leave an annual audit alone. I mean, we certainly need the annual audit, but the forensic audit will not just renew public confidence, but it will also tell us, perhaps, hopefully, how much money has been misappropriated, is a good word, how long this has been going on, and as Mike suggested, I think, if it costs the town a lot of money, there are a couple of things we can do. If there are convictions in these cases, we can try to go after the convicted felons for the money to pay for this forensic audit, because we wouldn't have had to do this if they hadn't been doing what they were doing. And also, as I said, we've got to make sure there are no more holes, that this is not going on. I think one of the key things that we need to remember is if the whistleblowers didn't blow their whistles, all of this would still be going on. We would probably still be hiring Levitsky and Bernie, because we have asked for the last 5 years to put the accounting firm out to bid and have not done that. And none of us would be the wiser. So as far as I'm concerned, it's great that you're going to look into this, and I absolutely, please, suggest that you do this, because the people in the town are demanding it.
I think we all share your concern. I think my only point was going to be, Janet, that with respect to Levitsky and Bernie or any other firm, I think it's possible that, given what I know about audits, another firm may or may not have detected this, because as we all know, it's not a forensic audit, that's why we're having the discussion on potentially having one. So, they didn't catch it, maybe they should have, maybe they shouldn't have, but again, my understanding is, you know, an audit, they do certain procedures, but they're not necessarily intended to detect fraud specifically.
But a forensic audit is.
Yes, it is, as far as I know. Woman in the back had a question,
Yes, I'm Stuart Smith from Rimmon Road. I had asked what the document was that you were discussing, and I got that information. But my other question is, you read the charges against the one fellow whose name escapes me, but there were other charges against Mr. Palmieri, who had a
Yes,
much
sir.
broader reach than community affairs.
It's quite true.
And I was wondering what those charges were, and if
Mike may have them, but I guess I'll make the same suggestion Mike did to
Well, you
me. There's a
didn't read-
website, there's,
No, that's
apparently you can
well, he
read
doesn't
it.
read the paper. He has the charges.
Conspiracy to,
I have.
Well, if I could, if you don't mind, the actual charges, I'm not sure particularly relevant to what we're trying to do tonight.
I have it.
They're available.
Okay, I have them here.
You have a question in the back, sir? You have a question, sir?
I have a question. Why do you think
Just one
they're not
second, please, sir.
relevant?
Do you have a question in the back, please, sir?
You're talking about him?
Yes, do you have a question,
yeah.
sir?
Yeah, Mike, you seem to be intent on that list you have, and I want to know who got on that list, and does it include any firms that are competent at forensic auditing?
Well, that's one of the things we're going to try to find out.
But why are you pushing that list? That's what I'm trying to
Well,
understand.
because it's a list that was obtained from the Office of Policy and
Okay,
Management.
it came from somewhere, but why does that matter?
Well, we have to have a starting.
We have to have a
How
starting
about a
point.
list of forensic auditors?
Well,
Why not start with that list?
these could be forensic
But you
audits.
don't even know.
No, we
So
don't.
why are you starting with that list?
Because
Because
these are,
we have no other list to start from. This was a list that
Sounds
was
like you
supplied
didn't
to
prepare
us.
for the meeting.
This is all the top auditing firms that audit municipalities that do this for a living. So there's municipality experts on this.
That's who you had before. Was a
We
municipality
had
expert.
we had
are you
Levitsky and
suggesting
Burnett.
we should get someone who doesn't have municipal experience, sir?
Yeah,
Pardon?
Are you suggesting we get someone who does not have municipal experience in the state of Connecticut?
are you wondering who
May
came up
I
with
speak
that
to that?
list?
Just give him a chance to answer, please.
No, he didn't want to answer, that's
Oh,
why.
the comptroller, it's the
He
comptroller.
may or may not, let's find out.
No, there's two things, let me just
Give me
follow
one
up on
second,
this.
sir. Are you all
Did you
done,
want to
sir?
answer?
Are you all done?
No, I
sir?
think for the next meeting, let's have a list of all the.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I will make sure that we have a list
It
of.
seems like we're trying to narrow it real quickly.
Yes, that's a superb idea and necessity, and now that this subcommittee has agreed to look into this matter in that direction further, I will help, if you'd like, to